I want to share with you about the day I felt my twin brother's pain. My brother and I are twins, and it seems connected in ways that go far beyond the physical, in ways that are almost supernatural. When we were very young, perhaps around 3 or 4 years old, something happened that my family still talks about to this day. It's one of those stories that seems unbelievable unless you lived through it. And I did. It was chilling. It was an ordinary day. My father decided to take me out for a haircut while my brother Bob stayed home with our mother. We didn't think much of it, but something felt off. Back then, the two of us did everything together, so it was a little unusual to be apart, but nothing alarming. As we got into the car and drove off, I remember being curious, perhaps a little uneasy, but I couldn't explain why. A sense of dread. Not long into the trip, maybe just a few minutes, I started to feel anxious, an inexplicable fear. I began tugging on my dad's hand repeatedly, even as we walked into the barber shop. My little voice kept insisting, almost whispering, "Bob hurt. Bob hurt." I said it again and again, tugging his hand with increasing urgency. My dad, caught off guard, tried to brush it off at first, but the way I said it, so determined, so sure, began to unsettle him. It was like a premonition. He decided to pause and call home, just to be safe. No one picked up. That silence added weight to my words. Trusting his instincts, and maybe mine, he turned the car around and we headed back home. The air felt heavy. When we arrived, the house was quiet and empty. No sign of Mom or Bob. Remember, this was before cell phones were common, so there was no way to reach them. We just sat there, waiting. The tension in the room was palpable. My dad kept looking out the window, pacing. I sat there too, still uneasy, but no longer speaking. The silence was deafening. Eventually my mom returned, with my brother in her arms. His forehead was bandaged, and he looked tired and shaken. She explained that he had tripped and fallen while running around the house. He'd hit his head badly enough to need stitches, so she rushed him to the hospital. The sight was haunting. That moment left a lasting impression on all of us. How did I know? No one can say for sure, but it made everyone in my family believe in some way that the bond between twins is deeper than we can understand. Almost otherworldly. Somehow, even though I wasn't there, I felt his pain. It was eerie, and I still remember saying, "Bob hurt." The words echo in my mind to this day. That day I realized that the connection between us was more profound than I had ever imagined. It was a bond that transcended the physical world, and I still remember whispering over and over, "Bob hurt." I want to share with you about the mirror in our room. When my twin brother Bob and I were about 9 years old, our family moved into an old house nestled at the edge of a quiet town. The place had charm, sure, but it also had creaky wooden floors, long shadowy hallways, and a musty smell that clung to the air like a warning. Our bedroom was at the very end of the hall, past all the others. The strangest thing about it was a massive antique mirror bolted to the wall. It was too large and too old to move, and it had clearly been there long before us. From the very first night, that mirror made us uneasy. It started with the little things. Sometimes, Bob or I would catch movement in the reflection, just a blur at the corner of our eyes. We'd turn to look, and there'd be nothing there. Other times, our reflections didn't seem to behave quite right. I'd raise my left hand, and my mirrored self would lag half a second behind. Once, I swear she smiled at me, when I wasn't smiling at all. We told ourselves it was just our imaginations. We were kids, after all. But after a while we started sleeping with the blankets pulled tight over our heads, hoping whatever was in the mirror would forget we were there. Then one night, Bob shook me awake. His face was pale, his eyes wide. "Did you just get up?" he asked, barely whispering. I blinked at him in the dark. "No," I said. "Why?" His voice trembled. "I saw you. You walked toward the mirror and went into it." I stared at him. Part of me wanted to laugh, but the fear in his eyes made the laughter die in my throat. He wasn't lying. We turned on the light and stared at the mirror. Nothing was out of place. Still, we were both too shaken to ignore it. We taped an old sheet over it before crawling back under the covers. That night, we finally slept. But the next morning, the sheet was in a crumpled heap on the floor, and written in the condensation on the glass were the words, "One of you belongs here." We ran screaming from the room. Our parents didn't believe us, of course. They thought we were playing some kind of game or trying to scare each other. But we knew what we'd seen or hadn't seen. So that night, we set up Dad's old camcorder on a chair across from the mirror and let it run while we pretended to sleep. The footage still gives me chills. At exactly 2:46 a.m., the recording showed our reflections sit up, while our real bodies stayed still in bed. The reflections turned to face the camera. Then they stood up, smiled coldly, and walked away into the dark corners of the mirrored room. Not our room, the one inside the mirror. We never slept in that room again. The mirror is still there. We've tried to get rid of it, unscrewed the bolts, even covered it in heavy cloth. Nothing works. It won't come off the wall. And sometimes, when the house is quiet, we still hear soft knocking from inside the glass. The day my brother needed me. Bob is my twin brother. What binds us runs much deeper than shared DNA. Ever since we were kids, there's been something unspoken between us. A pull, a sense, a thread that tugs when something isn't right. I never understood it, until the day he almost drowned. It was a hot Saturday afternoon. My parents had taken Bob to a birthday party at a community center. I stayed home with a stomachache. Honestly, I was annoyed. We did everything together, and it felt weird being left behind. But as I lay on the couch watching cartoons, a sudden wave of panic washed over me. It started as a flutter in my chest. Then it grew, tight, cold, suffocating. My vision blurred. My hands clenched into fists. I couldn't breathe. It felt like I was underwater. Then I heard it, not out loud, but in my head, clear as a bell. "Help me." It was Bob's voice. I shot up, dizzy, heart pounding. I didn't know what to do. I just knew something was wrong. My mom hadn't called. There was no sound, no news. But I knew. I ran to the neighbor's house, breathless and wild, and begged her to take me to the pool at the community center. She looked at me like I was crazy, but something in my eyes must have convinced her. When we got there, chaos had already started. A crowd was gathering by the pool, lifeguards shouting, someone pulling a small body out of the deep end. It was Bob. His lips were blue, his eyes were closed, his arms limp. My mom was screaming. A man was performing CPR. Time froze. Then, a cough, a gasp. Bob's body arched. He was alive. Later they said he had wandered too far into the deep end. No one noticed. No one heard him go under. They said another minute and he would have been gone. But I felt it. I knew. No one can explain it, not even me. But I believe that whatever connects twins, whatever thread ties our souls together, it pulled me that day. It screamed through my body until I couldn't ignore it. And somehow, by sheer instinct or something stronger, I got there in time. My brother doesn't remember calling out, but I remember hearing him, and I'll never forget the way it felt to be drowning, when I wasn't even in the water.